Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer, and we are jumping into a fun one tonight. Miami Heat, Brooklyn Nets on a nice, pretty big slate here on Wednesday night in this NBA season as we roll on. But as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we got tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of line fluctuation tonight as odds makers and the public still trying to gauge where teams are at in the season. We're going to look at this Miami Heat game where the Nets are actually minus 3.5 favorites at the moment at home. I've seen the total fluctuate in the last hour from 218 to 220 and back again to now 218. And just quickly looking at the other games in the association, Hornets minus 6 at Magic. The Wizards are plus 4.5 at the Celtics. The Hawks minus 6 at Pelicans. Check out our separate video on that one. Pacers plus 1 at Raptors. Wolves are plus 6 at the Bucks. The Lakers down to minus 7 at Thunder. We could be without both AD and LeBron in that one. We'll have to see. Kings plus 7.5 at Suns. And finally, and the Grizz plus 2 at Portland. And finally, the Cavs plus 8 at Clippers. Huge slate tonight.
A lot of games.
I think all eyes in the early window will be on this one, though. The Nets still sputtering out of the gate, although they have won 2 games after just a dreadful start. Their offense has been far from impressive, though, 21st in efficiency. They're playing at the 18th fastest pace, and they're going up against a Heat team that leads the league in defensive rating by a long shot right now, just throwing statements out left and right after their offseason, getting Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, and really just getting refreshed after that long run in the bubble, kind of struggling throughout last season. And now looking every bit the part of contenders in the East and looking to prove it. Just absolutely smacked Milwaukee last week. So I can see why the line is moving slightly closer to a pick'em here. As I saw it early in the day at plus 150 or higher for Miami to just win this game. I love those odds. I think it's a complete toss-up. I would favor Miami if I was setting the line just personally, because at this juncture in the season – they're more together and have more to prove, and they match up very well against this Nets team when you can put Lowry on Patty Mills, you can put Butler on Harden, and you can put Bam Adebayo, PJ Tucker, through all sorts of bodies at Durant. I think Miami could win this game and keep it relatively low scoring, as we've seen with 7 of the 8 games going under between both of these teams.
Yeah, and aside from how good they are on defense and targeting some unders, the thing with Miami too this year is what they've done on defense already is what we expected. And the other thing we talked about with the Heat so far this season is throw out what happened last season. Honestly, throw out what happened 2 seasons ago to a degree. I mean, I would take more stock in what happened in the bubble, honestly. I think that's closer to the team that they are, especially now that they're better all over the place. You mentioned PJ Tucker and obviously Kyle Lowry, who didn't play in their only loss to the Pacers this season, who are also an enigma and randomly score a ton of points and play defense. Maybe they're good this year on defense. We'll see. But either way, for the Heat, it's one of those things where right now the Nets are sputtering, to your point, out of the gate hugely. And it's in part because obviously Kyrie's not there to add that punch to their offense. But also James Harden has yet to show up, right? Averaging about 17 points a game. A lot of talk about whether or not he's able to play within the new NBA and the rules. People, Steve Nash, in my opinion, actually intelligently called that out the other day in a way that was like calling out the refs, maybe make them a little bit self-conscious next time they have James Harden on the floor, and maybe start to expect a little bit more from him. But really, it's about what they're not doing and how good the Heat are this year. I think they're, a step above even what they were in the bubble at this point. So, there's no reason not to like their money line, but definitely getting those points. That's way too many. That's exactly what we both thought when Charlotte got 9.5 from Brooklyn as well and won that game outright, right? So until we see a little bit more fluidity from this team on offense, they did finally put Bruce Brown back in, which he wasn't in for the first 2 games for some reason, has been playing very well in their last 2. So, it's something that they're still looking for their rotation. The Heat know who they are. Tyler Hero has also taken a step up. You might consider his props as I think he's still getting some value out of the gate based on, his abysmal season last year. And just keep taking teams that are going to get this many points. When you think there's a good team going up against Brooklyn, 5.5 is too many right now for them. And until, teams start to, Vegas starts to realize that, or at least people start to realize, rather, the betting community starts to realize, hey, the Nets aren't who we thought they were. Similar to the Chiefs this year, where you can't just go ahead and assume they're going to blow everybody out and score a ton of points in the NFL. That's kind of the comparison I feel about the Nets right now. And until, those things even out for them and they keep getting these lopsided favored spreads, I'm happy to take the underdog against them.
Yeah, and to your point about Harden, I mean, at least since he joined the Nets, the Heat have been one of his worst matchups. He's got 12 and 20 points with 8 turnovers in those 2 games. And without him producing on that MVP level, this offense really is, like you said, is just kind of hand the ball to KD and pray, which is what they had to do in the playoffs. And it's kind of carried over to start this season. As great as he is, he's not going to necessarily get them to 111 points, which is where their team total sits tonight. I would feel very good taking the under there. Like I said, the total's been fluctuating up to 220. If it goes 220 or higher, I would take the under in general on this game. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see it grind it out, but feel better about that specific total. I feel great about Bam Adebayo props, which we'll touch on in that episode as well. But he's getting plus money for a double-double, which he's done every game this year with ease. And he's a matchup problem for the Nets defensively. Exactly. They have not figured out how to put a good defensive team around Durant at this juncture in the season. So I just trust Miami on both sides of the floor more, and I trust their motivation to make this a statement game.
100%. Yeah, that's a big in terms of who's got more to play for tonight. You're definitely looking at, the Heat. And, it's really comes down to what we said, their ability to play defense against this team and the matchup problem that Bam Adebayo is. That's going to keep happening to the Nets this season. Unless Nick Claxton comes out and is somebody that can, guard some versatile players such as Bam. There's nobody else on this team right now that, is in the front court that can be expected to really, body anybody to the extent that Bam needs to, have a huge body on him. So coming in from the paint the way he is, looking at his props, feeling pretty good about the Hero props as well. And definitely looking under. It's everybody seems to be on this one right now. As you said, it's down to a 3.5 on DraftKings by the time we're done recording this, as well as about 218.5. So maybe a slight tease there to get it back up to what the original line was as well. I know I'm usually the guy who likes teases, but if you get 4 more points on this game, you get it up to about 7.5, 8 points for the Heat, and then you get about 222.5 in there. I feel really good about that, as we just said. So might consider a little tease since the public has bet that down for us. But that is all the time that we have for this one, Nate. We will continue to roll on this fatty NBA slate on Wednesday night. Make sure you check out a couple of other videos we have for you today. And until we see you next time, happy betting.